You know, most of us are taught this massive myth from a very young age. We're told that money is just math, right? Numbers in, numbers out. Earn more, spend less, invest the rest. It sounds so simple. But if it were really just a math equation, why do so many incredibly smart people make terrible financial decisions? In this explainer, we're going to unpack Morgan Housel's groundbreaking research on the psychology of money. We'll reveal the hidden behavioral traps that are quietly sabotaging your wealth, and more importantly, how you can finally escape them.
To really grasp this mystery, let's just look at two totally different lives side by side. On one hand, you have Richard Fiscone. He was a Harvard-educated Merrill Lynch executive with a wildly successful career in high finance. On the other hand, you've got Ronald Read, a rural gas station attendant and a janitor. Now, by all traditional textbook logic, Richard should be the absolute financial winner here. Yet Richard actually went bankrupt, while Ronald Read died with a net worth of $8 million, leaving millions to his local hospital and library. So if money is purely logical, how on earth did the janitor win?
Well, that perfectly illustrates Morgan Housel's core thesis. Doing well with money actually has very little to do with how smart you are, your formal education, or your IQ. It has almost everything to do with how you behave. A total genius who loses control of their emotions can become an absolute financial disaster, while an everyday person with zero financial education can build incredible wealth just by mastering a few key behavioral skills.
So, here's the million-dollar question. If you already know you should be saving more and spending less, why don't you just do it? Well, the good news is, you're not crazy. When we make poor financial decisions, it's not because we're fundamentally broken. It's because we're all navigating this crazy modern financial world using deeply ingrained psychological habits. Habits that were shaped by our own completely unique and often totally invisible personal experiences. Section 1. The illusion of control and logic. Before we can even talk about money, we really need to talk about the false confidence we all walk around with.
We all love to believe we're these perfectly rational actors making calculated, purely logical moves. We like to think we operate in System 2, that analytical, spreadsheet-loving part of our brain. But the uncomfortable truth? Over 95% of our decisions are actually made using System 1. That's the fast, emotional, automatic side. Our deeply personal, past experiences, like whether you grew up during a terrifying recession or a booming bull market, they covertly dictate what your System 1 perceives as a logical decision today.
And that leads us straight into our first set of traps, the logic traps. Believing you're entirely logical, assuming you're in complete control, believing comforting stories over reality, and falling for the spreadsheet fallacy. We fall for that spreadsheet fallacy all the time, totally forgetting that a spreadsheet doesn't feel panic during a market crash. We also massively underestimate the role of luck and risk. Think about Bill Gates for a second. He just happened to attend one of the very few high schools in the entire world that had a computer in 1968. Now, hard work matters? Absolutely. But assuming you're in total control completely blinds you to the massive realities of risk and randomness.
Which brings us to this incredibly powerful reminder from Housel: nothing is as good or as bad as it seems. Seriously, let that sink in. When we succeed, it is not 100% due to our brilliant skills. And when we fail, it's not 100% our fault either. Recognizing these hidden forces of luck and risk, it's a real game changer. It strips away our overconfidence when things are going great, and it removes the shame when things go wrong.
Okay, Section 2, the ego and status trap. This one is arguably the most common wealth destroyer out there.
This is where our desperate human desire for external validation actively keeps us broke. There's this unbelievable story about a highly successful tech executive, brilliant guy, but he literally handed thousands of dollars to a hotel valet to buy gold coins just so he and his buddies could skip them into the Pacific Ocean like rocks. Just for fun. And yeah, he went broke shortly after. That is the ultimate trap of looking rich. Being rich, true wealth, is exactly the opposite. It's the unseen financial assets. It's the cars you didn't buy, the first-class upgrades you declined, and the money you quietly invested instead. So, the ego traps are chasing more than you need, the man-in-the-car paradox, and mistaking visible spending for actual wealth. Let's talk about the man-in-the-car paradox for a second because it is absolutely fascinating. When you see someone drive by in a $100,000 car, you rarely think, wow, the person driving that car is so cool. Actually, scratch that. You almost never think that. Instead, you think, wow, if I had that car, people would think I was cool. We buy these flashy status symbols to get respect, but people just ignore us and admire the object instead. It means showing off is a completely fruitless endeavor.
This whole concept boils down to this absolute mic drop of a quote. Savings is the gap between your ego and your income. Let me say that again. Savings is the gap between your ego and your income. No matter how much money you earn, you will never, ever build wealth unless you can put a lid on how much fun you demand to have with your money today. Wealth creation is fundamentally about suppressing your ego.
So, I want you to think about your last major luxury purchase, or even just a really expensive dinner you went to recently. Be completely honest with yourself here. Were you truly doing it for your own joy, or were you quietly trying to signal your success to the people around you? Escaping the status trap starts with answering that exact question honestly.
Moving right along to Section 3, the survival instinct. Let's dig into some of our evolutionary baggage.
The wild reality is that the biology of our ancient ancestors is actively working against our modern brokerage accounts. Take myopic loss aversion. This means the pain of giving something up is statistically twice as great as the satisfaction of acquiring it. And hey, this was an amazing evolutionary shield. For our ancestors, treating threats as more urgent than opportunities literally kept them from getting eaten. But today it makes a tiny 1% market drop feel like a life-threatening emergency, triggering this massive, intense fight-or-flight panic.
Behavioral finance expert Daniel Crosby actually hit the nail on the head when he described our brains as simply old, hungry, and impatient. When we see the herd panicking and selling off their investments, our primal survival instinct just screams at us to join them so we don't get left behind for the predator. We are literally biologically hardwired to abandon our completely logical financial plans the second we feel threatened.
Which leads us directly into our survival traps. Fear disguised as profound wisdom, demanding gains without the volatile ride, and the seductive nature of pessimism. Pessimism is incredibly seductive, isn't it? If someone gets on TV and tells you the market is going to crash, they sound like a genius who's trying to save your life. But if they tell you the market will just slowly compound over the next 20 years, they sound like a naive, sleazy salesperson. The truth, though, historically, long-term optimism is what actually generates wealth, while pessimism just keeps you paralyzed safely on the sidelines.
Okay, Section 4, winning the mind game. We know the traps now, we know our own biology is basically plotting against us. So how do we actually win this mind game and build lasting wealth? The very first step is a massive paradigm shift. You have to realize that the skills you use to get wealthy are the exact opposite of the skills you need to stay wealthy. Getting wealthy requires boldness, it requires taking risks and having extreme optimism. But staying wealthy? That's a whole different ballgame. That requires caution, a healthy dose of paranoia, and the deep humility to know that what you've built could be wiped out by an unexpected string of bad luck. You have to learn how to play defense. And the true key to that defense is realizing that you are not a machine. A perfectly rational, mathematically flawless financial plan is completely 100% useless if you can't mentally stomach it during a market crash. Aiming to be mostly reasonable, building a strategy that actually lets you sleep soundly at night is vastly superior to trying to be coldly, perfectly rational. So, what are the practical mindset solutions? First, build a wide margin of safety. Save without a specific goal, just to protect yourself against the completely unpredictable stuff life throws at you. Second, accept that just a few rare tail events, meaning just a couple of truly great decisions or long-term investments, are going to drive almost all of your success. It's like the 80-20 rule on steroids. And finally, stop moving the goalposts. Define what enough is for you, and actually learn to be happy once you reach it.
Because ultimately, why are we doing all of this? We're doing it because the absolute highest dividend money can ever pay is the ability to control your own time. True financial freedom has absolutely nothing to do with buying more luxury stuff. It's about waking up every single morning and having the power to say, you know what, I can do whatever I want today.
Which leaves us with one final massive question. If we strip away all the math, all the fancy spreadsheets and the ridiculously complex investing strategies, what is the single most underappreciated, absolute most powerful force in the entire world of finance?
It's time. Literally just time. Think about this number, $156 billion. Out of Warren Buffett's immense, absolutely legendary net worth, more than $156 billion of it was generated entirely by the power of compounding after his 65th birthday. No way, right? But it's true. He didn't get ridiculously rich just by being smart. He got rich by mastering his psychology, avoiding behavioral traps, and simply staying in the game much, much longer than anyone else.
So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought to wrap up this explainer. If true wealth is actually silent, if it is exactly the money you don't spend and the status you don't show off, what are you willing to hide today
to secure your ultimate freedom tomorrow. Master your behavior, suppress your ego, and just give your money the time it needs to grow.